رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. كيف حالكم؟ Alhamdulillah. My beloved brothers and sisters, in Kitab al-Salah, we look at this evening the start of the shurut of Salah, the conditions of Salah. And so this is a very important area because in order to establish validity of one Salah, you need to be clear on whether the conditions for that Salah have been met. This is before the actual practices of the Salah. So the Shaykh writes and mentions that shurutu Salah thamaniya, that there are 8 conditions for Salah. This evening we are only going to look at the first 4 inshallah. The first, taharatul hadathain, that you must be purified from the 2 ritual impurities. Now, when we talk about the 2 ritual impurities, we are talking about your minor and your major impurities that might come about as a result of janaba, hadath, in which wudu and ghusl might be needed to be cleansed from that. So you must be purified from those ritual impurities. There can't be any of those impurities on you. Secondly, وَالطَّهَارَةِ عَنِ النَّجَاسَةِ فِي الثَّوْبِ وَالْبَدَنِ وَالْمَكَانِ. There must be no impurity on your clothing, في الثوب, والبدن, on your body, والمكان, and the place where you're going to perform your salah. Now, what's very important, perhaps if we reflect on you are going to perform salah, and let's say you go to we're not talking about a masjid, but you're going to perform salah outside somewhere, and you come to an area and the area has najasa. Well, let's say you're going to make salah at the beach, right? The waqt is in, you have to make salah, and you're going to make salah on grass that is there. It is permitted because in its origin it is pure for you. And perhaps during your salah you notice that a meter away from you there is some droppings of a dog, which is najasa. And a requirement is that the makan, the place in which you perform salah, does not contain any impurity. So we can take it that in a masjid there is no impurity. In a musalla, jamaat khana, there is no impurity. The place is clean. But if you are in another locality, or you go to a place and there's just a random mat there, and on this mat there is some impurity, what would the ruling then be? What are the limitations of the makan, the place that must be pure? So the ulama, the fuqaha, have written that it suffices for the place in which you perform your salah, you make sujood, that area must not contain impurity. So if you are in your salah, and the example I gave is you are at the beach and you are performing salah on the grass, and you notice a meter away there's a dropping, but in your actual space of salah you don't see anything, then you must treat the area as pure. Unless you find traces that in your place of sujood there's traces of dropping some dog feces or something, then that place is impure, and as such the conditions of the salah have not been met. Meaning there will be i'ada, there will be a repeat of that salah. So it's very important to fulfill these conditions. The third is that the awrah must be covered, covering the awrah. Now this is another critical area, because and particularly men, if men go to a masjid or to perform salah, it's very dangerous to perform your salah in a t-shirt. Very dangerous. That might be tucked in. Because when men make ruku', that t-shirt can lift. And it's a requirement for the salah that the aura is covered and everything above the aura as well. So whilst we know for men the aura is between navel and knees, that is the aura for men. But that for your salah, you can't have your chest open. It must be above that aura. Hence, it is important that the aura remains covered throughout the salah. That's why at the masajid in South Africa, you find here taqwa as well, that there'll be, kurtas, coats, thobes hanging. What's that there for? For people who might be coming in a shirt or a t-shirt and risk that moment of it lifting in salah. And sometimes it's a little bit tough because someone joins the salah and they notice, oh, that this person, that man, it lifted. Technically, you have to, with great respect and wisdom, approach the man afterwards saying, you have, your t-shirt lifted during the salah. Just alerting them. Don't give the fatwa that your salah is invalid. That's not for you to do. But just mention that had lifted. Because in reality, the fatwa is the conditions have not been met of the salah. The aura must remain covered throughout the salah. And then the fourth one, and I'll close with this for this evening, was istiqbalul qibla. That you must have the qibla. That you must establish the qibla, particularly for the fard salah. That's very important. And if the qibla, let's say typically you go to a place and you start making your salah, you try to calculate qibla, and you start making the salah, and in your salah or after your salah, someone comes to you and says to you, you actually know you were completely off there. You were 45 degrees off. Now, if that is brought to your attention in the same waqt, then it is, yustalzam, it is wajib, compulsory for you to repeat the salah. Even in the case of Asr, which of course after your performance of Asr Salah, it's a makruh waqt for Salah until Maghrib. But if it's brought to your attention that your Qibla was incorrect, the condition of the Salah was not met. Hence, it must be repeated. There is opinions in terms of slight deviations of Qibla. We know historically the Qibla of this masjid was slightly adjusted. And there are opinions within fiqh that minor adjustments don't contribute to invalidity or invalidation of the salah. But we are talking about the minute the salah, and the ulama differ in the amount of degrees, but they really sort of indicate 20 degrees and above would necessitate a repeat of it. So istiqbalul qibla is critical. And of course, other conditions that are known is that the person must be Muslim, and also the person must be mumayyiz. The person must have the ability to differentiate between right and wrong. And then just regarding the covering of the aura, another point as I close, is the covering of the aura must not lead to one being able to see the color of the skin. So sometimes I've seen, especially amongst maybe the young, they quickly want to cover and they maybe even take just a thin cloth or a dookie, a scarf or whatever. I've seen it even at the beach. Some youngsters, they want to cover their legs. Then they take a lady's scarf or a thin dookie or something and they wrap it around their legs because they believe that the covering is important. Yes, the covering is important, but we also must not see the color of the skin. It must not be that thin. So in covering the aura, it's the physical covering along with not seeing the color of the skin. And so again, I'm touching on the men in particular. If you go to the beach and you swam with a t-shirt or top, and you come out of the water and that top is wet and it's against your skin. So the shaping of a bodily part is the exposing of the aura. It's not only about the physical covering. So if a man was wearing, for example, a shorts, right, and he swam with that shorts, and the shorts extends beyond the knee, but they come out of the water, they must wait for that water to leave, or they must air sort of the pants and move it away from their body because it mustn't shake anything around the body, because shaping would show the aura. So these are just some important considerations to ensure that the shurut of salah are met. And I close, inshallah, with the conclusion that the conditions of salah must be met in order for the salah to be valid. And inshallah, next week I will complete the other four, inshallah. Any questions about tonight's conditions? Mm. Might sound like it's now, but it's over the years. Yes. Making like over the years, just short sleeve kurta. Very good question. Very, very good question. The question the brother has asked, for a man wearing a short sleeve kurta, is this permitted? Very good question, because the scholars differ regarding this. It is preferred for the kurta, the sleeves that a man wears, to go up until the elbow. That is the preference. So if I demonstrate via my arm, the sleeve should be at least until the elbow. This is the preferred. To go slightly past the elbow puts one in the makruh area. Some madhahib say not permitted at all. All madhahib say if the sleeve is beyond the elbow, no problem for the man. Some madhahib say if it is between the shoulder and the elbow, you are in the area of karaha, makruh. It is disliked for it to be there. It definitely can't be past the shoulder. So we recommend then to men to have it, to be out of karaha up until the elbow. But yes, the Shafi'i madhab has the accommodation of a shortened sleeve. The Hanafi madhab does not. Okay. Mm. If you observe that the conditions are not being met by the Imam, for example, so then you have to inform the Imam. So if the Imam is maybe wearing a t-shirt and he went into ruku', and maybe this happens at a beach, there are youngsters together, someone stands in front, and in the salah you notice, the Imam's t-shirt went up at a certain point. Now here we differentiate between the two madhabs. For the Shafi'i madhab, well, let's start with the Hanafi madhab. The Hanafi madhab requires that this Imam salah carries for the ma'moom, the one who follows the Imam. So if the Imam was Hanafi and the follower was Hanafi, it depends on the validity of the Imam's salah. Hence there would be a repeat of that in the Hanafi madhab. The Imam must repeat and the follower must repeat. The Shafi'i has varied opinions. One of the opinions in the Shafi'i school is that the salah itself can be valid if not solely dependent on the Imam, depending on the type of area that has not been met. So it differs from madhab to madhab. What is better to take a person out of shak, out of doubt, is naturally you must inform the Imam, because there's a repeat of the Imam's salah. And to remove doubt in a jama'ah, we normally say let there be a repeat, so that no one leaves the ibadah with any doubt. So we would recommend as ahwat, what is preferred in fiqh, that there be a repeat of the salah. Yes, inshallah. Any other questions? Jazakallah khairan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam alayhi walhamdulillah rabbil alamin. Shukran.